And what's so interesting about what you mentioned about, you know, the numbers looking in South Africa, and that, you know, how many women are occupying leadership positions. I mean, I heard the number 2 at Facebook, who's a woman, who was saying the same thing in the US, you know, that it's not just a South Africa issue, it's globally. And you talk about how networking can change that. So first of all, even before we get into it, I think we talk about networking without understanding the depth of what it actually is.
Yeah, I think sometimes we think of networking as schmoozing, which gives it a negative connotation. But really, it is really an art of developing relationships. And the key thing is about sustainable relationships. And they must be mutually beneficial. That's key, mutually beneficial. So it's not just about take, you also have to give back.
One of the things that is we were speaking about this just the other day of how do you actually network? Because if I were to meet you, for instance, and I know you to have a huge contact, you know, and a huge database, if I'm coming to meet you now with the goal of, well, I'm going to know Dudu, she's going to introduce me to a whole lot of people. How do I, you're already shaking your head, how do I develop that relationship?
That is the wrong approach. Knowing people does not translate to a network. First of all, people have to appreciate that you're sharing something common, and they have to be willing to kind of share things back with you. It's a mutual exchange. A database is not a network. Having names and titles in your CRM is not a network. It is about whether, when you call someone, will they react, first of all? Will they do something for you? And is it beneficial to you? So I think we've spent a lot of time socializing and assuming that the more cards we collect, the more they're going to bear fruits. And a lot of us are experiencing a lot of disappointment, because it's also important, the thing that's coming out in the research, what you know is just as important as who you know. You cannot depend on who you know to get very far. It's not sustainable.
So if I were to ask you now, may I please have your business card? What do I do with it to make it a meaningful relationship then?
You have to follow up. And hopefully there is something that the other person also finds valuable in you. But the one thing that has come out in the research, there's something about time that's important in networking. It's that relationship over time, because over time you get to understand someone, you get to understand and trust them, gain confidence in them. You see their consistent behavior, and you're able to vouch for someone. So it's very difficult to get somebody's business card and then suddenly put them forward for a board position. You have no idea what skill set they have, how they'll handle the position. So the relationship is very key.
So one of the things that we started this was how does this then pertain to women in leadership positions? How then, what is the connect? Because one of the things that you say in your report so far is that there are these myths that men are better at networking, women don't support each other. Are they myths? Because I have seen that though in the workplace, that it doesn't seem, I mean, if I look at the way the men interact with each other and then the way we as women interact with each other, it is a little bit different.
You know, the one thing that was key that has come out is about disposable time, which I found fascinating. Women are saying, we have other responsibilities. We have homes to look after. So outside of work, we have kids to bring up. We have home responsibilities. Men do not have the guilt that we carry. They don't have the double burden of wanting to also be as effective in the home as they are at work. So they have time to establish those relationships. They can go and play golf the whole day. You know, they can go to game farms. We don't have that. One lady said, I wish I had a wife. You know, because then who supports me? Men have a support structure. So there's a feeling coming out of the research so far that it's not so much that women are bad, they kind of have to adopt a different strategy.
But here's the thing though, if I think of my own life, and I mean obviously I'm one and I'm not thinking of everybody else, but if I think of the people that really do support me in my personal life, and even sometimes when it comes to business decisions, I'll call my girlfriends. So I'm thinking, why is that not translating? If we will talk to our girlfriends about what we're wearing and all these things, why does this not translate into meaningful relationships in business?
That's actually a key thing, because the one thing that's come up is that there's a feeling that women somehow are brought up to think of relationships differently. We think of friendships We think of socializing.
But isn't that where the power is?
Not necessarily. It has to then translate to something tangible.
Okay.
But it is a two-way street. I must say that it's so sad about women, especially when we're told that as we go up, we remove the ladder for the ones coming. We do have that, and I don't know if this is an excuse or it's reality. A lot of the people in the ones that we interviewed were saying, Dudu, we are overwhelmed. There's just a lot. We would like to do more to support each other, but in a 24-hour day, there's so much that you can do. We can't do more than that. And maybe we're not pushing ourselves more than that. Because I actually think when you're in that mindset, you sometimes just fall into opportunities to help someone. I always say that when somebody has just told me something, by some miracle, the next person that I meet kind of mentions something. I'm like, oh, you know, and then that's how you connect. But I do appreciate that we are overwhelmed. We have a lot on our plates. But this is why we're trying to do this research to find out, using that context, how then can we effectively use the time that we have to be effective.
Okay, thank you so much, Dudu. I know that from what I read, you are going to be launching this research next year, sometime next year.
In February.
It's going to be quite important for us to read that paper. Thank you so much for coming in.
My pleasure.
Well, that was Dudu Msomi, who is founder and CEO of Busara Leadership Partners.